Hey, what's up everybody? Retro Gaming Guy here. Today in this video, we're going to dive into this budget-friendly mini PC. This right here is the MomentPlus N4020 Mini PC with 4GB RAM and up to 2.8 gigahertz. So I'm dying to check this out because it's priced at just $69.99. It doesn't get any more affordable than $69.99 at the time of this video anyways. So I want to dive in here. I want to unbox it with you guys. I want to test it out with you guys so we can see what the performance is like on here and we can better gauge whether this is worth it or not. Before we dive into this video any further, I want to briefly tell you guys about Mint Mobile, who I've actually partnered with for this video. Mint Mobile offers an amazing premium wireless service, and you may have seen their commercials with Ryan Reynolds. They're super funny, and the cool thing about their commercials is Ryan Reynolds is not only a Mint Mobile user, he's also one of the owners of the company. With rates as low as just $15 a month, with Mint Mobile you don't have to worry about sacrificing speed, data, or coverage because Mint Mobile was built on the nation's largest 5G network. All the available Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, in addition to lightning-fast 5G and free mobile hotspot. Mint Mobile is also offering a modern family plan that allows you to save yourself a boatload of money on your plan with as little as 2 phone lines. Now, Mint sells directly to customers online rather than operating retail stores or using salespeople. So they save money on their end and they forward that savings onto you, the customer. Switching over is quick and easy, and thanks to their digital eSIM cards, you can activate your service anytime, anywhere, even in the comfort of your own home. Now, rest assured, if you do need assistance, you can reach out to Mint Mobile through their customer service line anytime. So why pay more in the end for the exact same service? It really doesn't make much sense. You know what does make sense? Clicking the link in the description of this video or scanning the QR code on your screen. Get some additional information at the very least about Mint Mobile, and I'm confident you're going to save yourself a boatload of money in the process. I personally switched over a month ago, and I've been saving money ever since. So click the link in the description of this video or scan that QR code on your screen and get some additional information on Mint Mobile and maybe even switch over today. If you already have switched over to Mint Mobile, let me know what your experience has been in the comments section of this video. So let's dive into this mini PC and see what it has to offer us. All right, guys, here we've got this mini PC right here, exploring the unknown from MomentPlus, which you see down here. So we're going to go ahead and start unboxing this, see what we have within. All right, so we've got a user manual right here. Let's see what it entails. So package contents, mini computer, adapter, user manual. So not including a whole hell of a lot here. Getting started, we've got the enter the BIOS setup. So pretty basic here. We also have an outline as to what each of the ports offers on here. So certainly not super in-depth, but let's see what we've got. We've got the power supply. We also have a mounting bracket right here, which was not mentioned over there in the package contents, but certainly grateful to have it. And here is the PC. Now let's see if there's anything underneath here, if it's just cardboard padding. Yep, nothing underneath there. Okay, so let's take a look at the PC itself. And I will say, before we even have this unwrapped, very lightweight here. I mean, you obviously can't tell in a video how this weighs, but very light. All right, so definitely looks pretty sharp on here. We have 2 USB 3 ports right in front. We have a Type-C port. We also have a micro SD card slot right in front too, which is cool to have on there. Flip this around to the back side. So what are we using? We're using, over here we have, which I assume is a reset button if we, put something really thin down there, maybe the end of a paper clip. We also have a VGA right here, followed by an HDMI port, Ethernet, and 2 regular USB ports, and then we have an audio jack down at the end. So definitely has everything that we would need for gaming. On the sides, we have some ventilation. That's about it though. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make our power supply connection, and we don't have an HDMI cable included in the package here, so we have to provide our own. Luckily, I have about 1,000 of those. So we will go ahead and first plug this in. Now, mounting bracket here, I assume this is a mounting bracket. Where would we mount on here? Oh, okay, right there on the bottom. That's convenient. All right, so that just slides in there. So that is really actually quite convenient. Didn't even notice that when we first looked. So how we would use this is, and I'll actually just open it up. What the hell? How we would use this is you would first go ahead and install this on whatever you want to use the mini PC with. So if you were, say you wanted to mod an arcade one-up cabinet with this, you would just go ahead and install this to the inside wall of your cabinet, and then simply bring this over, and it would just slide right on there, push it down, and you're ready to go. You don't have to, deal with any weird measuring or, tough installation. It's very straightforward. Simply screw this into wherever you want to install it, and then just make that simple connection. So really do like that. Now let's go in here and let me locate an HDMI cable. Got one right here. Twist this around. There we go. I'm going to connect this over to my capture card, and that will enable you guys to see exactly what I see as I boot this up. All right, guys, so I've got a bunch of things connected here. So we have our power supply, of course, HDMI. This right here is a USB connection for my keyboard, which you see a little bit of right here. This is a USB receiver for my wireless mouse, which is right over here. Not sure I'm even going to need that, but then over here we have a USB to SATA connection. So we can bring in this external 2 terabyte SSD, which actually has Batocera and is loaded with thousands of retro video games. So that's what we want to dive into today. This comes with Windows 10 ready to go on here, but I don't want to jump into Windows 10 for gaming. At least right now to test this out, I want to jump into Batocera because I can test out a wide range of games and game collections there, and we can really gauge the performance of this mini PC that way. So I'm going to go ahead and power this on, and I'm going to start tapping F2 on my keyboard. That's going to open up our settings where we can adjust what we boot to on here. So here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to navigate across the top over to boot with our arrow keys on our keyboard. So we're going to go over to boot on here, and you can see option number 1 is hard disk, and it says Windows. Now, notice how nothing is populating in. Sometimes with certain PCs, you will be able to see your external hard drive or external SSD, in this case, populating into the option 2. We don't see that here. It just says NVMe, and then it says CD, DVD below that, and so on. So we're going to go over to save and exit here, because oftentimes when you don't see that listed, you have an override option, which is down here. And you'll notice that Windows Boot Manager is the first option. Second option is this one, which in parentheses says Saturn, which is our connection. Right up here, it says the exact same thing. So we know that that is our external drive. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit enter on that. You notice how I am highlighting it. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and it's going to bring us over right into that. So here we are booting right into Batocera, again, from this 2 terabyte SSD. And once we're in here, we should be able to then disconnect. I can actually get rid of this connection right here because we're not going to need the mouse for anything at all. And we should be able to now connect an external controller. And I have a wired one right here. This is a Power A, which I'm going to show you guys. And I believe I've used this with this SSD in the past, so we should be able to. It says right there, gamepad detected at the top, so should be able to navigate here, and we are. So I believe this was mapped to this SSD in the past, so shouldn't have to go through the mapping process here or anything like that. Now that we know that the controller is working on here, we're going to scroll through, and I'm going to jump into a bunch of different games from a bunch of different game collections so we can dive into this and find out exactly where our performance is at with this mini PC and what is capable of emulating and being played on here.
All.
Looks like they're sizing each other up.
You can forget the rule book. These two guys are going to give us a real good fight.
Standing drop kick. Shoulder breaker.
I think he's gaining momentum. I think this guy's going to be awful hard to stop.
Standing drop kick.
A gain of 14.
You want some more?
Second idea is playing it safe here. Going left. And he just hit that guy like he was a foam rubber tackling dummy.
You can't teach tackling like that. That's scary.
This event is brought to you by THQ.
All right, guys, we jumped in here. We tested out the MomentPlus N4020 Mini PC, which has 4GB RAM and up to 2.8 gigahertz. So before we talk about the performance on this, I want to talk about, I'll first mention the price point. $69.99 is what I paid to get this direct from Amazon, and I think it's a great price point. Of course, we need to have some decent performance to go along with it, and I think we do have that. I also want to talk about what this offers externally. We have a bunch of different USB ports, some USB 3s, some regular USBs. We have an Ethernet on here. We have HDMI, and we have pretty much everything that we need to dive into gaming effectively. One thing that I think is really amazing about this, though, is we have a micro SD card slot built into the front of this PC. So if we wanted to get into this for retro gaming, we could set up a retro gaming build on a micro SD card. And given the fact that we do have some limitations with what we can jump into on this PC, I think a micro SD card would be great because we aren't going to be using any game collections that require a massive amount of space. We could dive into a very good setup on a 256 gigabyte micro SD card, or even a 512 gigabyte micro SD card, or 1 terabyte micro SD cards are becoming more and more popular now as well. So we can really put together some extensive setups on those capacity micro SD cards, and they would simply get inserted right into that micro SD card slot at the front of this PC. It doesn't get any more convenient than that. Now, I went the external SSD route today, but that was purely because I wanted to test out a wide range of games and game collections on this PC to see where the performance lies on here. So I was able to dive into so many games that I wouldn't be able to fit onto a micro SD card. But now knowing what the experience is like on here, I would definitely take that micro SD card route in the future. So we jumped in here, we tested out a wide range of games. So let's talk about the performance on here. As expected, we dove into Super Nintendo, NES, we jumped into Mega Drive on here. Awesome experience there. Same could be said for MAME, which is classic arcade games. No setbacks, no issues whatsoever in any of those. From there, we started diving into some more advanced later home console collections, stuff like PlayStation 1. Tremendous experience there, no shortcomings whatsoever, 100% true to what you would experience on the original console. Same with N64, and that really blew me away. I was expecting there to be issues with Dreamcast, N64, PSP, and then I didn't think we'd even be able to dive into any games on any collections beyond that, just going off of the specs on here. And that's really why you have to go in and test out games on setups like this, because you can't go purely off of the specs. If I went off of the specs, I would have said, all right, we'll probably get into some N64 games, some Dreamcast games, but that's going to be it. And we were able to get into those effortlessly without any shortcomings whatsoever. I jumped into about 10 Dreamcast games and 10 N64 games. I didn't show all of them here in this video, just in an effort to keep things, short and sweet in this video, but no issues whatsoever were experienced on any of the games I jumped into. And here in this video, we jumped into Mario Kart 64 and Cruisin' World for N64. No issues there, and Cruisin' World especially is known to have a lot of issues because it requires a whole heck of a lot to emulate it effectively. And this was a great experience on there. I was able to navigate the car exactly where I wanted to go. We didn't have any audio issues, no lags or delays. So everything was just on point there. So couldn't be happier with the N64 experience, and it was a pleasant surprise. Now, Dreamcast was the exact same experience, and I'm so grateful for that because Dreamcast is probably my all-time favorite retro game console. So I love playing those games. Virtua Tennis, Gauntlet Legends is one of my favorites as well. The House of the Dead 2, I can go on and on. Just love Dreamcast and everything that it has to offer, and everything runs extremely well on here. No shortcomings or issues of any kind. So then we jumped into Sega Saturn, and unfortunately I can't say the same thing for Sega Saturn. Sega Saturn is also very tough to emulate, and unfortunately we were able to dive into all the games, but they ran in slow motion, so it's just not a good experience. I don't think anybody wants to play like that. If they did, you could get into more collections on here if you wanted to, but nobody wants to play like that. So unfortunately, we have to let go of any possibility of Sega Saturn running effectively on here, which sucks. But when we consider the price point here, we have to obviously adjust our expectations accordingly. And what we can get into, I think, is absolutely amazing. So no Sega Saturn, and really anything beyond that, except for PSP. PSP does work very well on here. I would say pretty much perfect. There are some games that aren't 100% perfect. You notice little tiny glitches if you're really paying close attention, but for the most part, it is a great experience there. PS2 we jumped into, very much slow motion as well. We can load into pretty much all the games that I tested out, and I tried out about 5 or 6 games. We load right into them fine. but the actual gameplay is just slow motion. We just don't have enough to get into this. I didn't jump into Nintendo Wii. Actually, I did jump into Nintendo Wii. I didn't record it though. It's very much in line with that. You can play the games, but it's slow motion. Like I jumped into Wii Sports, the baseball game within that, which is my favorite sports game in that game. And you can pretty much hit a home run every single time once you get the timing down because it's so slow. So just not a good experience. It's not what anybody wants to have there. We jumped into Gamecube. Gamecube was a little bit more split down the middle. Mario Kart Double Dash actually performed better than I expected it to. It definitely was a little wonky, a little bit glitchy at times, definitely slowed down. The audio was not good, but we did get through a race. So it is playable. It's just not going to be a great experience. So if you're somebody that wants to maybe test out some GameCube games, see if they are what you're interested in, you could do that on here. But nobody's going to enjoy the experience, unfortunately. It's just not good enough to, really run towards. NFL Blitz 2003 for GameCube, I actually expected to be better performance than Mario Kart Double Dash. It just seems like it would be. And I believe they were released the same year or maybe a year apart. So I just expected NFL Blitz 2003 to be, a little bit smoother, and it wasn't. It was actually 10 times worse in my opinion. Running the ball in slow motion, the audio was just absolutely horrendous. Just not a good experience there. So we did find out in the end what our shortcomings are with this mini PC, but what we do get out of it is exceptional. And if it lines up with what you're looking for in a retro game setup, then why spend $250, $300 on a mini PC that gets you into, everything from Atari all the way up to Nintendo Switch? If you're never going to enjoy those higher end games, save yourself some money. Get this set up right here, $69.99. You get Windows 10 with it, so you can boot up into, your gaming side if you wanted to, or you can incorporate it all into your Windows 10 side. You can do whatever you want here. There's tons of different options, tons of capabilities with this setup, and I believe it's worth every penny. And with that micro SD card slot, I think you can get a really great setup out of it. So I'm going to put a link up here at the top of your screen, as well as in the description of this video. So click over, get some additional information, weigh out the pros and cons, see if it lines up with what you're looking for. And if it is, maybe this is the setup for you. So let me know what you guys thought of this setup though in the comments section. And of course, if you enjoyed the content today, please give me a thumbs up on the video. It's a huge help to me here on YouTube. And of course, hit subscribe to stay in the loop for all future videos. That's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.